Hello everybody, I'm Will Sellenrod and welcome to another episode of Story Behind the Collector. Today we're in Chris's garage and he's going to show us his collection of Bricklins. He's also got a Lincoln here. This is, believe it or not, a coupe. It's an enormous car. And we'll take a quick look at his Challenger. And let me introduce Chris.
How are you, sir?
Chris, hi. Welcome to
you,
Story Behind the
How's it
Collector.
going?
Thanks for letting us into your garage.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
this is excellent. So I have never seen a car like this before. Tell us a little bit about it.
So I had never seen one before either. It was an ex-girlfriend's father had it hanging out of a single car garage, and I never saw it outside. And one time he had it out, it was his uncle's car, garaged, and I heard that they were moving years later, so I called up and asked about the car. I paid $4,500 for the car about 20 years ago.
And it was running.
It was not running.
Oh, it was not.
He
okay.
would go out once every couple months and turn the flywheel, with a breaker bar,
just to keep it going,
just to keep
it
it
lubricated.
clean.
Yeah.
And he realized that one of the valves got stuck and it got bent. So when I told my father, who was not really a car guy, about it, he said, "Oh, my father had one, and I'll go in with you on it." So we tore down the whole top of the motor and replaced the valves.
Well, let's open this hood and see what's under here.
Is
I mean, this
it
car is
open?
just enormous. Is this a V8 or what would
It's-
they put in a car? Like
It's an original flathead V8. Watch your head.
Okay.
Because I hit my head all the time. That's as much as it'll open.
Oh, okay.
So
That's a flathead V8. Wow.
flathead V8. It's the original motor.
So you guys dismantled the entire motor?
Just the top end, and
Okay.
then he retired, and the car sat for about 7 years. Got a little surface rust, so I just decided to have a guy do it, and he redid it. And it's all original. The generator, it's got hydraulic windows, so there's basically two starter motors. If you look right there at the top,
yeah.
that's the same as the starter, just with a hydraulic reservoir for the windows, which will cut a hand off if you get it caught there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, no.
So when the window's going up, if your hand is out over there, it's gone.
It's gone, and it works
yeah.
right now without the power on or anything. It's just always there.
Would this be an automatic in this car then, or what kind of transmission do you have?
This is a 3 on the tree,
Okay.
and it's got this weird kind of overdrive called Tune-O-Matic. I forget what it's called, and it's a button. And after third gear, when you get to a certain speed, you let go of the gas pedal, and a solenoid clicks, and it goes into a 1-to-1 cruising ratio.
Wow.
So it's fun to drive.
It's a cool car, and the back seat is enormous on
Yeah.
this car. The legroom. I mean, this is almost like a 2-door limousine.
So what's special about this car is that it is a 2-door. Most of the 2-doors were convertibles. Anytime I've ever tried to Google this car, mine comes up.
Oh no.
That
kidding.
shows, yeah. So it's
So
kind
there's
of
not
cool.
a lot of them.
There's not a lot now, and they're really, it's not. People ask me, "Are you gonna redo it?" It's all original. It's just it's not worth redoing, and it's kind of cool that it's this old and still lasting.
Yeah, it's got a really nice patina on it.
Yeah.
And all the parts are still on the car. I mean, it's not falling apart. Or
Not at
anything.
all. Not at all.
So I love the color of this Bricklin here, and it's a car a lot of people don't know about.
Right.
What year is this, and how did you acquire this car?
So first of all, it's not a DeLorean. Everyone says, "Oh, you painted a DeLorean green." It's not a DeLorean. This one's a 75. They made them for only 2 years.
Okay.
74 and 75. They built them in Canada, but they were made. Malcolm Bricklin is from Texas. He's also responsible for bringing the Subaru into the States, and then later, which we don't like to talk about, the Yugo.
Yugo. Yeah, I
But,
remember that
yeah.
story. Yeah.
So they only made them in 5 colors. They all had the same interior, same drivetrain. There was no option. It's called a Safety Vehicle 1. So at the time, they were exceeding all of the safety requirements. It's made out of acrylic. This one's now fiberglass, but they were originally acrylic panels, and the whole, they call it a bird cage, is steel.
So is this based on another chassis then? A
Yes.
production chassis?
Yes. So it's an AMC drivetrain.
Okay.
So it's basically a Javelin or a Gremlin.
From what year?
Early 70s, 72, 3,
Okay.
4, something like that.
Yeah, because the Javelin did have a longer hood, didn't it?
Yes.
And it kind of
Yeah.
had these same fenders.
If you look at the rear view mirrors, side view mirrors rather, these are from a Camaro, The seat belts are from a Volkswagen. The steering column is an AMC/GM. Now I have a GM ignition in it because I couldn't find a key when I got the car originally.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
So what's an original Bricklin part of this car then? Is the body primarily, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Everything else is already a built product that's been sourced from different
kind of
manufacturers.
The wheels were original. The
Okay.
gauges are VDO, I believe. But yeah, the interior is very exclusive to the car.
Okay.
Some of the parts are AMC parts. There's a lot of similarities with old Jeeps and the Javelins and things like that. This interior was redone. The seats are all recovered, but it's original. There's only one difference in the dashboard, which I could show you before and after on that as well.
Well, let's take a look at the engine on
Sure.
this then too. So this is a 350 Cleveland.
Windsor.
Did you keep or Windsor?
Windsor, yeah.
Okay. Did you keep it stock then?
No, because it was right smack in the middle of all of the emissions.
Okay.
So the motor, it's got headers on it now. It was bored over. I don't remember what to. Edelbrock manifold, Holley 4-barrel carburetor. The air conditioner is still here, but it's not hooked up at the moment.
Okay.
The only modification besides the valve covers and the headers is this is a new one, the aluminum radiator. There's a guy who makes parts for the cars now. He's amazing. He's re-engineering a lot of things, and it ran about 25 to 30 degrees cooler. They're notorious for overheating. So this was a huge upgrade.
So how big is the Bricklin community then? Is it?
It's there's only about 2,100, 2,000 cars left. So it's a community, but it's a small community, yet a big one. I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, and everyone is very tight knit, and everyone is very cool with helping each other.
Yeah, because you really can't take this. Where do you take it to get repaired? You almost have to do it yourself, right?
Yeah, kind of. There's a lot of when I first got the car, I was younger, and I didn't know much about cars, and it scared me. I thought it was like a Jaguar, where everything's completely different. But
it's a little intimidating for
Right.
the first look. Yeah.
But at the heart of it, it's just a Ford motor. I get a lot of Granada parts for the motor, AMC parts. You could still get most of the stuff, except for the interior. That's the exclusive stuff.
Yeah, so this interior, so let's take a look at that then. So
Okay.
you have the automatic transmission in there.
Yes, they only
It's
made
got some really nice wood grain in there. That's factory.
that. No, that
Oh.
is new. I'm gonna open the door. I'll open the
Okay.
sign up.
So you have the gull wing doors.
They're air. Let me pop this key out here. They're the original problem and selling point and biggest problem of the car was they had hydraulic doors. And they were, my father told me stories, this was my uncle's car, so he told me stories about my uncle coming in, just pools of hydraulic fluid in the back.
Oh my gosh.
It was very heavy, it was very slow, and the first thing, while they were still in production, they made this air system. So that was the first retrofit that everyone did. There's a compressor in the front bumper, an air tank in the back, and it now controls the headlights, the latches inside the door, and as well as the pistons over here that open the door.
So is there ever a concern that you might get trapped inside and you can't open the door?
Well, if you look at right there on that far door, it
Yeah.
says SV1. That's a little cover. If you pull that off, it shows you the original door handle, like an AMC.
Oh, okay.
So you can push it, but they're about 150-pound doors, so you can get out, but it is not convenient.
Yeah.
I've also had to crawl in the back a few times. The batteries in the back, so I've had to crawl in the trunk a little.
Well, it's really a nice design. I mean, it's really it looks aerodynamic and it's got a lot of nice windows. I mean, it's a striking design.
I always think of it, especially with the bumpers, as a car from the past that they thought was what the future would look like. So,
I mean, I could see this as being an EV.
Absolutely. He's actually working on an EV car. He's still alive. He's still
Malcolm
alive.
is still around.
Yep, Malcolm is still around. I haven't met him yet, but it's on the list.
Wow.
But the only thing different with the interior is the seats were covered. They used to have suede in the center of them with buttons that would rip off the moment you moved, and the center console is not original. They used to be two separate things with no glove box. There's no cigarette lighter. There's manual windows because they were supposed to be safer. This is the thought behind this was that you couldn't open your car door out into traffic, or like a biker was coming by.
Oh,
but I
yeah.
mean, I hit my head on this all the time.
Yeah,
still,
I can imagine.
Yeah. So that was just that wood grain is just a covering, a little veneer.
Car, did you do anything to it then?
So originally, yes, the whole car was restored in late 90s, early 2000s. They originally came, it said on the brochure, no paint. They were these acrylic panels that were very inferior, and they called it impregnated. They were dyed the color, and if you see a green one that was left outside a little bit, every panel will be a different color. So most of these panels, they would crack like a Corvette, like the stress cracks, but it was real bad, which I could show you on the...
Yeah, so let's take a look at this white one, because this is interesting. So you love the Bricklin so much, you decided to buy another, right?
Yeah, they only made about 180 4-speeds only in 1974. So
Okay.
I bought this sight unseen. I just saw a couple pictures.
On the internet?
Yeah, in one of those Bricklin groups. And I always wanted the 4-speed, even though they drive terribly, notoriously terribly. And this one has the AMC motor in it.
Okay, the AMC motor would be how big?
360.
Okay.
360. Right now it's all stock. I wasn't sure if it ran. I didn't realize that the car didn't have a gas tank, so when it showed up, had no gas tank, so that's why this was extremely difficult to find.
Wow.
I had to buy it from
It
a
looks
guy.
brand new.
Yeah, it was refinished. I could open this stuff for you.
Oh, okay.
It was refinished. I had to get it cleaned and repainted, and obviously it doesn't go there.
So this car was sitting outside its whole life then when you bought it?
When the windows were open, so it was redone. It looks like someone redid it in the 90s. I
Okay.
started taking the interior out. Most of it's sitting on that workbench over there. But somebody did some real nice work to it in the late 80s, early 90s, and then it sat outside.
So it's a steel frame then underneath this acrylic?
Steel frame.
And I see the acrylic is buckling, so
Yes,
can you
this
talk
is-
through that?
Sure. This is, you could see over here, there's lots of stress cracks.
Yeah.
This is one of the pieces that got zero reinforcement on the back, so you can see the edges coming
So
up.
are you going to replace all this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These are fenders, new old stock fenders from one of the other, actually this
So
color,
they still make these parts?
there's guys that have molds and
Oh,
redo them
okay.
in fiberglass.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a new door skin.
So as long as the steel structure's intact,
Yes.
it shouldn't be a big deal to replace these panels.
In theory, yes, but there is an art to securing this to the metal.
Yeah,
There's
because
a
how did
glue-
are they glued?
Yeah, there's a glue or an epoxy type of thing that we're working from the inside out on this one.
So are you going to replace everything that's buckled and cracked
Yes.
on this?
I got new quarters from another old car. I got these new fenders, and then the rest of it will probably be fiberglass replacements.
Now I see a little rust on some of the steel infrastructure here. Are you
Yes.
going to remediate that
Yes.
too?
Yeah. I'm not gonna put anything new on top of old
Yeah.
stuff if we get that far. It does run though. We ran it from that little gas can right there, and it ran for about 15 minutes, and
You shut it off.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. It actually sounded great. So
So
I'm
your plan
hopeful.
is to get this back to 100% restoration then?
I don't think it'll ever be as nice as that one, but it maybe. I have a 69 Charger that's getting redone right now, and I have an 84 Vet which needs some attention, but my rule was only one car that doesn't run, and now we're at two.
Well, so how did you get into car collecting?
Actually, this was my first car, the green Bricklin. It was my uncle's car,
Okay.
and I was in it one time when I was a kid. I was about 7, and I remember being in it, and when he passed away, we were able to get the car out. I was in high school, and I traded, this is one of those, I wish I never did this.
Uh-huh.
He had an 84 Vet sitting next to it in his garage, and we gave somebody the Corvette to fix, to get this running. When all it needed, it was just a Ford motor, but I didn't know that back then.
Yeah.
So this guy got a great deal on an 84 Vet, but he did get it running. So when they dropped it at my house, the first time the door closed, it feels like a spaceship when it closes. It's a little unsettling. But the first time it closed, it was actually a little emotional.
Wow.
That
Yeah, I can
I
imagine.
hadn't been in it for 25
So you
years.
still feel a connection then?
I found, someone must have given my uncle, he was a big guy, and it was a little King Kong doll that someone found, so I leave it in the car and I talk to it every time I get in it. But
Yeah,
I
so
had
you
the
still
car,
feel your uncle's presence?
100%.
Yeah.
Everyone knew him by this car. I worked on it for about a year by myself, And when I dropped it off to get redone, I realized how much I enjoyed working on the car. So I got another car. And then it's just... Then
and another car was the Lincoln then after that?
No, I had a 67 Mustang, which I got rid of because it was starting to fall apart.
Okay.
Then was this. Then the Charger. The 84 Vet is my mother's. Then the Challenger.
Now the Challenger is a bit of a departure, right? So
yeah, I just
because sometimes it's interesting when we interview collectors, they stick with one make and model.
Yeah.
But you're kind of mixed.
I kind of love. It's funny when I bring the Challenger to a car show, nobody cares about it unless they're a Mopar or a Challenger guy.
Yeah.
So I like going to the car show and being. I just like having the weird stuff. The Challenger was something I always wanted to do. The Charger is because I was a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan since I'm a kid. But I got this. I ordered it new with my mother, and it was the day after my dog died. So the license plate is dedicated to him. His name was Monster. So yeah, it's the first new, real nice car I had. So
wow, that's great. Well, Chris, thank you so much for introducing us to your collection.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Talking about the Lincoln and the Bricklin story is amazing. I mean, the whole Malcolm Bricklin story is just really unique. And the fact that he's still around and now he's working on another project, that in itself is kind of really cool.
He had a 3-wheel project he was doing, 2 in the front, 1 in the back, hemp-made car. The body panels were hemp. I don't know. He decided to switch it to 4-wheel, which I think was a very smart idea.
Wow.
I saw a couple concept cars. We'll see.
Well, you have to give us a call because Anthony and I have to come back out when you get this Bricklin restored.
Definitely.
I mean, this looks like a little bit of work here, but
it's going to
that's
run
what
my
you
next
love,
summer.
right? It's going to be a passion project.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
So excellent. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Will. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thanks for being on our show.
Of course. Of course.